Today we're going to begin painting our Theibaud Gumball machine. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to very carefully twist off all the caps of our paint so that they are ready to use. Make sure that you clean your brush each time you change colors today so that the colors don't get dirty. Now I'm going to decide what color I want to paint the bottom part of my gumball machine, and today I'm going to choose yellow. So I'm just going to dip only the bristles into the paint. I'm not getting paint up on the metal part of the brush. And very carefully, I'm going to paint inside the lines. If I get outside of the lines, that is of course okay. I'm just gonna leave that area, alone, and we will worry about that later when the paint is dry. So I'm just going through using some nice, creamy, thick paint. I'm making sure that my brush has a good hair day. I'm not scrubbing and pushing down really hard. And I'm just slowly taking my time to fill in this whole bottom space. Now I'm going to very quickly, I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to dry the brush off on the towel because it's very important to get the water off of your brush when you're using tempera paint. And while the paint on the right-hand side of my gumball machine is still wet, I'm going to take the tiniest little bit of black. I've barely got black on the tip of my brush, and I'm gonna do a little shading technique to make my gumball machine look more three-dimensional. So on the right-hand side of my gumball machine, I'm going to blend this black into the yellow. So whenever you add black, it creates a shade, and it makes your paint look darker, like there's a shadow. So I'm just gonna blend this black in, and I'm just using a tiny, tiny bit. And as I get further to the left, it's gonna naturally start kind of lightening up. And that's exactly what I want it to do. I want it to be darker on this side and then get lighter as it moves to the other side. If you want your shadow to be just a little bit darker, you could always get a little bit more for the very, very edge. Wow, that shadow looks really cool. Sometimes I even like to add a little tiny shadow underneath this edge part here and blend that into the yellow. Now, after I'm done painting the bottom part of my gumball machine, I'm going to choose a color to paint the top part. And I'm going to use some shiny metallic paint so that it really will look like a metal machine. Now, very quickly, while that silver paint is still wet, I'm gonna do the same trick again of using a tiny, even tinier bit of black this time to create a shadow on the right-hand side. Whatever side your shadow is on to begin with, make sure that you stick with that same side the whole time. Don't flip-flop back and forth, or your project will look a little confused and not very realistic. I'm also adding a tiny bit of black on the right side of this metal piece and on the bottom of the metal piece as well. Now, after I'm done painting all of my spaces on the bottom part of the machine, it is time to start the really fun part, which is the gumballs. So the thing we're trying to achieve with the gumballs is, of course, making sure that all of our circles are the same size. I have a little trick for doing that, and the trick is spinning your brush. So I will show you how to do this. I'm going to start with some blue gumballs, and wherever I want a gumball to be, I'm going to press my brush down gently, try to keep my handle in the same spot so I'm not moving it back and forth, and then I'm just going to spin the brush with my fingers. And when the bristles twirl around, it makes a really nice circle. Now, not all of your circles are going to be perfect, of course. That is okay. We talked earlier about if you do make a mistake with some of your paint, we're just going to leave it and we'll fix it next time. I'm going to keep on going, adding as many circles as I can to the inside of my gumball machine and getting them as close together as I can. When I want to change colors, I'm going to clean my brush really, really well, wipe it on the edge without tapping, dry it off, and then I can switch to a new color. And using the same technique of spinning the brush, I'm going to keep on adding, my gumball circles. And I'm just gonna roll with it even if I make a mistake. There we go. I'm gonna keep on going until my entire circle is full. Also make sure that you don't overlap your gumballs at this point. That means putting one on top of the other because the paint isn't dry and it will kind of mix together. So try to keep your gumballs close but not overlapping.